Pellagra is a disease most people in the developed world have never heard of. This is, in one sense, a triumph. Niacin's identification as the cure and its subsequent addition to staple foods effectively eliminated a condition that was killing and disabling enormous numbers of people across the American South and parts of Europe in the early 20th century. But in another sense, Pellagra's disappearance from public awareness has allowed us to forget the most important lesson it teaches, that niacin deficiency, and by extension NAD+ depletion, produces a specific and devastating pattern of biological collapse that maps almost precisely onto what the modern longevity community is trying to prevent. The clinical picture of pellagra is summarized by the 4Ds: dermatitis, diarrhea, dementia, and death. The dermatitis appears first, a distinctive rash on sun-exposed skin that reflects the role of NAD+ in skin cell turnover and DNA repair. The diarrhea signals gut epithelial breakdown, as rapidly dividing intestinal cells require NAD+ in abundance to sustain their constant renewal cycle. The dementia reflects what happens to neurons when NAD+ is profoundly depleted, synaptic transmission fails, neuronal maintenance breaks down, and cognitive function collapses. Death follows when the deficiency is severe and prolonged enough. Every one of these endpoints represents a failure of systems that NAD+ is essential for maintaining. Now consider what the longevity research community has identified as the primary mechanisms of aging: declining skin integrity and wound healing capacity, gut barrier deterioration and dysbiosis, progressive cognitive decline, and cellular energy failure. The overlap with pellagra's pathology is not coincidental. It reflects the same underlying biology at different scales. Pellagra is acute severe NAD+ depletion. Modern aging may involve chronic mild to moderate NAD+ insufficiency that produces the same system's failures over decades rather than months. Understanding this reframes what niacin represents, not just a B vitamin or a cardiovascular supplement, but the compound whose absence causes the very degenerative picture that the entire anti-aging supplement industry is trying to address. This reframing also suggests the concept of subclinical NAD+ deficiency, a state that doesn't produce the dramatic clinical presentation of pellagra but may contribute to premature fatigue, poor stress resilience, suboptimal skin health, cognitive sluggishness, and metabolic dysfunction. Modern diets high in processed foods and low in niacin-rich whole foods like meat, fish, and whole grains may create chronic mild insufficiency in a larger proportion of the population than standard dietary assessments capture, particularly in individuals with alcohol use disorders, inflammatory conditions, or genetic variants affecting NAD+ metabolism. A therapeutic trial framework is the most practical response to this possibility. Supplementing niacin at 500 milligrams to 1 gram daily for 4 weeks and systematically tracking energy, skin quality, cognitive clarity, and digestive function provides individualized data that no population study can replicate. Correcting a deficiency, if one exists, will produce observable improvement. If no deficiency exists, the supplementation is unlikely to cause harm at these doses, and the absence of dramatic improvement is itself informative. This deficiency-first philosophy, address adequacy before pursuing optimization, is more grounded and more evidence-consistent than immediately reaching for NMN in the hope of elevating already adequate NAD+ levels to superphysiological heights.